Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Heart Flow, the podcast where I, your host Shayla, discuss any topics brought to me or topics that I have, different things that I may be going through. As you know, if you've been following my journey, most of last year was about my last year, me and dates. But times in the past, I talked about my journey through my career, my healing journey after I lost my job, different things like that. And today, I am going to talk about what I experienced yesterday. So for those of you who do not know, I am obtaining my hours to be fully licensed as a mental health therapist. And so right now I'm in this residency program similar to like nursing school or medical school, how they have, or I said it wrong, nurses or doctors, how they have to go through a residency. Similar to that, right? Where we learn a lot. Actually, it's really like school residency, right? Which I appreciate and I love, because usually with any other supervisor that you may have, you are getting like individual session, maybe a group, not maybe, but a group and the individual. Sometimes they'll be giving you some extra information. They may be talking about a different topic or whatever. Really just there if you have questions. And sometimes I've heard that people don't even get that much. So I am very blessed to be where I am. My supervisor gives us a lot of information and a lot of time. Like right now we're going through didactics, which is like a course on like couples therapy. And like what to look for, what to look for in that, and how to deal with the dynamic of couples. And also her perspective is very different than the typical therapist, which is very CBT focused and forward, cognitive behavioral therapy forward. And she is very much so in crucible thinking. I can't even explain that honestly and wholly. I mean, honestly and truly. And wholly, I can't really explain it, but it's very different. And her approach is more somatic. It's a bottom-up approach, very somatic and body-centered type of approach, where she includes that and keeps like a lens on that or whatever. I'm not really describing it right, but it's all of that, right? And this is also a Christian organization, company, nonprofit, whatever. Christian values are all up and through there, right? And I've said before, I know that God placed me where I am for a reason. One, for the clinical side of it, where I can gain the information that I can get without feeling like dumb or stupid or, any of those things, for asking the questions and wanting more information. Also, she like signs us up for like trainings and pays for them, trainings that we may want. She helps us specialize or find specializations that we may want to specialize in, like our niche and all of the things, right? So I really appreciate this program. But like I said, it is also even if it wasn't, but it is also, it's not a Christian, it's not Christian therapy, but Christianity is woven all through it. And so yesterday we had supervision, which is, I had individual supervision first. This is where it actually happened, where me by myself or one other would present a topic or present something that we're having problems with or struggles with, and we talk about it with our supervisor, and she gives us insight, feedback, different things like that. So yesterday, I actually didn't have anything. I'm really bad at supervision. Now, group supervision, when we have to actually present a case, okay, but individual supervision, I'm really bad at sometimes because I just be coming. I just come and show up. And then whatever is like pressing on me, I will discuss. But if there's nothing pressing, like with the case or something, or even with me, I don't have anything to talk about, which is very much so like my life in this podcast. If I don't have much to talk about, it's very hard for me to come up with a topic to discuss on here. That's why I ask for feedback, or not feedback, but topics. Feedback too, but topics, because I don't be having much to talk about. Truly. I'm not a big talker at that. So this podcast be stretching me for real. But yeah, so in supervision yesterday, I didn't have anything. Mind you, y'all, I went to the Memorial Trail here in Houston. I ain't been there in years. When I say years, like 10. It's been a decade at least, or close to. They revamped it, rebuilt it, or whatever. It looks nice. It's still nice over there, or whatever. And there's like a it doesn't matter, because that's not what I'm talking about. But I went to the trail, bro. First off, I did not look at the calendar for the time that we're supposed to meet. We were supposed to meet at 10. I thought it was 10:30. But either way, when I got there, I was like, snap, I'm not about to be done in time to be there at 10:30. So I was like, I'm gonna be there closer to 11. No big deal, but I was just like, I'm gonna be there closer to 11, not 10:30. Turns out it was actually supposed to be 10, but it got switched anyway because nobody knew the time. But I get to the trail, bruh. First off, I overestimated my ability to jog, run, whatever, especially on this trail. The trail isn't like super hard. It's a trail that is around or whatever. It's like gravel, whatever type of stuff they got down. So the terrain is not like asphalt, where it's like smooth or whatever. But I just was not prepared. I overestimated my ability, and also I set myself up. I had to pee so bad. I did not like prepare myself for this, because I'll do like a jog on a treadmill. Jogs is not the same as outside jogs. That's one. And so that's what I've been used to for a while, is something on the treadmill. But then also my calves are weak, and that's just what it is. So when I got out there and I started like jogging, and I wasn't trying to do nothing for real, like straight out the gate, but my calves tightened up probably after the first 5 minutes. I was like, what is happening here? And they were tight, and they stayed tight, and I tried to like stretch them out along the way. It was not helpful. I wanted to take my calves off and just lie them on a trail somewhere and just proceed. And because I hadn't been to this trail in a while, I was like, is this the same trail? Like, why is it taking so long? It is taking forever to get back to my car. When does this end? When does this trail end? And I was looking it up because I was really confused, like, but there's like a landmark or whatever, and it's Bricks Prime. I think that's what it is. So I knew I was still on the right trail. I knew I was still on the right trail, but that was like a ways after. There was like a part I went through where I guess the starting line is. I was like, when the heck did they do this? And I had to keep reminding myself, like, they revamped this or whatever. I literally Googled and was like, how long is this trail going around? Because I need to get back to my car. And I set a timer for 9:30. I set a timer for 9:30. I think I was maybe halfway through the trail when 9:30 hit. I was like, oh my gosh. And that's when I Googled, like, how long is this trail around? And so then I started paying attention to my mileage, because I was like, okay, I am almost done. And I had to pee. Like, oh my gosh, I had to pee so bad. Yeah, I just set myself up. I did not prepare myself at all for this trail. And I'm going to go back, but I have to, one, make sure I don't have to pee, because that was a big hindrance. Two, give myself time, because I was also racing against the clock, because I knew I was going to be late. So I was kind of also panicking, because how long is this trail? And I need to get back to my car because I need to get to supervision. So it was just a lot going on, and I was not relaxed at all. So, and all of that could be a combination of why my body was like, get us out of here. Yeah, so I did that, and then I rushed home, did my little washing up and stangs, and then went to supervision, right? And so I'm in supervision. I'm trying to relax my body and get in the mindset of supervision. I don't have nothing to present, nothing. So my colleague goes before me, so she's talking, present her case, woo. And I was like, good, thank God, because I don't got nothing to say, nothing to talk about for real. And it gets to me, and luckily my supervisor had pointed out a part in the case that we were going to go over later on in the day, for group supervision. So I had something to because I actually legitimately had a question about that. So we were talking about that or whatever, and then she asked me what my hesitation is when it comes to talking sometimes, because my question was, would it have been okay to pause the daughter in this situation and let the mom experience what she was experiencing in that moment? And my supervisor was like, absolutely. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I think my hesitation would be on how I would word it. And then I gave an example or whatever, and she was like, yes, that's great. And then she asked me what that hesitation was. And I was like, I want to make sure that whatever I have in my head, I'm able to verbalize. So I'm trying to verbalize whatever my thoughts are in my head. Because sometimes I do get like concerned on how things may come across or whatever. Or I want them to be said correctly. I want things to be said correctly or whatever. And she was like, I don't actually remember what her comment was next or whatever, but something along the lines of like, I wonder where that started with you when you began to like question yourself in that way, question your voice and what you have to say or whatever. And at first I was like, I said, that's a good question. I don't know. It may be more so like my perfection, me trying to be a perfectionist. And then she was like, I want you to not just throw a label on it, but I want you to actually pause and think on when you can remember you questioning your voice. And I was like, nigga. I was like, all right, okay. She was like, I'm sure there are times where No, she was like, something happened for you to not say what you want to say or whatever. Before actually my supervisor even said this, my colleague, because I was like, I want to make sure whatever I'm saying is coming out correctly, that it's right or whatever. And my colleague was like, she was like, from my perspective, when you do have something to say, she was like, whenever we're in conversation or having a discussion about something, it always looked like, sorry, she was like, you always take a moment and you can tell that you are pondering, you're really thinking on it or whatever. And then whatever you do say, it is very, insightful. It is very insightful and helpful when you do speak. And I was like, yeah. Like, I agree with that, because I think on things a lot before I say them, depending on the environment I'm in. And then my supervisor was like, I have a different perspective. She was like, I have a different perspective. I don't disagree with you, but I have a different perspective. And she was like, I believe you have a lot more to say than what you actually say. You don't speak on a lot of the things that you're thinking about. And she was like, I can't wait until you get to a place where, and she was like, and this wasn't how you were before. She was like, something happened for you to no longer speak so freely. And she was like, I can't wait until you get back to that place. She was like, because I know you will be so free and feel more like you, more authentically you. She didn't say authentically you, but more you, more of yourself when you get back to the place of speaking more freely and being like, whatever, I say what I say. And I was like, yeah, I used to be that way. I did. I used to be that way. And there are things that happened that crushed that. And she was like, I said, well, one, I did not grow up in a house where I could speak freely where I had a voice, because I didn't. And I was like, and then I got into a relationship where that was stifled even more, after that. And she was like, I said, because I was like, yeah, I said, my best friend who passed used to call me Blunt. She used to call me Blunt, and in her phone she put Blunt Houston, because I was supposed to move to Houston way back before I started high school. But I didn't want to move, so we didn't move. But yeah, so she used to call me Blunt Houston or whatever, because I would be blunt. And I was like, but people used to say I was mean too, because of whatever I would say or what I would say. And she was like, was it peers or adults too? And so I paused and I was like, it was peers mainly. And I said, it was peers. And I was like, because I thought on that thing, right? I said, no, it was adults too. And she was like, the reason they said you were mean, more than likely, is because, oh snap, what did she say? She was like, because you spoke on something that they didn't agree with, or you saw something in them that they didn't want to change. And a lot of stuff came to mind. And I was like, yeah, that's actually very true. I am a seer or whatever. And it was crazy when I was younger. And I was just speak off the cuff of stuff. And then sometimes some things were mean. I mean, some stuff I would say was mean. That's just how it was. That's how it was. And my supervisor was like, well, of course some things would be mean if you live in an environment where you don't have a voice. So when you go outside of that environment, you just saying stuff off the rip, because you can't do that in your home, or in your home. She was like, so I can imagine some stuff was mean, and some stuff was mean. I'm gonna always remember this. I was mean towards dudes way more than I was mean towards females. Not that I can really remember, but I also didn't care. So I still said what I said, but it wasn't as ruthless or just straight off the cuff like it was with dudes or whatever. I remember one of my best friends, me and my best friend was at Jeff, and she wanted me to come with her so she could see her boyfriend at the time, right? I don't care. We going, all right, ever. Me and my best friend was always together. Anyway, so I'm gonna go where you go. It just doesn't matter. But her boyfriend, I don't know if they was best friends, but this other dude was always around. I didn't like this other dude. The dude was not attractive to me. And he also talked like he had some mental challenges, and I didn't like it. So she would be talking to her boyfriend or whatever. And so the dude would try to talk to me, and I would always be like, don't talk. I don't want to talk to you. So like, don't talk to me. But it would interfere with them or whatever, because he would be like, man, she don't want to talk to me, blah, 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 or whatever. So so that, it was me. I didn't have to say it how I was saying it. Truth was truth for me in that time. But it was me. And other times I would be honest about whatever I'm thinking, feeling, or if you ask me a question, I'm gonna be honest about it. And I'm gonna also call out stuff that doesn't make sense. In me doing so, I will also lose friends. And I lost friends in high school because some of them were doing stupid stuff, and I didn't agree. If it's stupid, it's stupid. That doesn't mean I'm not about to be your friend. I probably wasn't like hanging out with them like that, because you're doing stupid things. So I'm not about to just kick it with you doing stupid stuff. I'm not about to get in trouble because of your stupidity. So, and I would say, that's dumb. Like, why are you allowing this to affect you in this manner? Like, stand up. You don't gotta follow in this other person's shoes. Stand up. But I was mean because of that. So I would lose friends, or I lost like my friend group in that time. So I'm sure it did affect me or shape me in a way of, I can't say or be honest about things because I will lose friends. And I already did not have, my brother was gone. My brother was in high school. My brother was in college. My home life was trash. I did not have anyone, right? And so then my boyfriend at the time came around, and he made everything look sweet. And so that's who I gravitated towards, right? That was the only person that was like speaking up for me and protecting me and all of those things. But also, after some time in that relationship, that changed and shifted, and I was beginning to become alienated from other people that we knew and I was being fed information that they didn't like me, they didn't want me around, all of this stuff. And it's coming from a person that the only person I thought was rocking with me. So why would you lie to me? Also, right? And I remember somebody called me and was telling me, like, my boyfriend at the time was talking to somebody or something like that, which he probably, and I probably already knew it. I don't know. But I was like, I talked to him, whatever. But he was like, why do you take his word as gold? I didn't say it to him, but within me, I was like, who else do I have? Who else do I have? And this was after high school. But I was like, who else do I have? I don't have anybody but him. He's the most consistent person that's been in my life this far. That has not switched up, that has not changed. Until, like, recently, then everything changed. How he treated me, all of the things. But by that time, I'm already in it. This is an abusive relationship. Emotionally abusive. Yeah, so, but by this time, I'm cemented in that thing, right? So, and in that relationship, I also learned that I could not speak. Nothing I said mattered. I wasn't heard. I wasn't listened to. Yeah, all the things. So my voice was erased, pretty much. And there were I'm about to backtrack, but there were times in my childhood that I remember. There were moments that I remember where I would speak up and what I said literally meant nothing. And I say it meant nothing because the action afterwards indicated that you probably heard what I said, but what I said does not matter to your end goal, right? So I remember we had a family meeting about a situation, and we voiced it. Me and my brother voiced our concerns, and what we did not want happened. Not to maybe next day, I don't know timeline for real, but it wasn't much long after this conversation that what we specifically said we did not want to happen happened. I remember when it comes to singing, I stopped singing, or not I stopped singing, but I became very insecure in my voice. There was a situation where my grandma wanted me to sing at her church. I didn't want to sing by myself. I was young. I wanted, my mom to sing with me. So I'm rehearsing this song through and through. I know the song. Front to back. You know what I'm saying? I know this song. We are singing this song, and I'm trying to tell her to go to the next verse, like move on in the song. And she brushed me off so smooth. She brushed me off, baby. And then I was like, it's and as if I didn't know what I was talking about, right? And then, like, afterward, and I was so irritated singing the rest of the song because she wouldn't move on. So we were singing the same thing over and over again. Like, this is not a Hezekiah Walker song. Like, it has more than 6-7 words. Let's move on, right? But she wasn't listening to me. She wasn't paying attention to me. She was like brushing me off. Like, this was her time, okay? And then afterwards, I was like, we were supposed to move on to the next thing. Like, this was the next one. And she said something, it was just so dismissive, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And so from then on, I was like, oh, I am good. I'm good on singing. Y'all can have it. Yeah. And then there's another one, but I don't want to just keep, and there's another one, that there's different moments that I have in my mind that made me, they were very significant in the fact that I believed that my voice didn't matter. What I said didn't matter. It did not matter, because nothing changed. And then I was also, if I did speak up or I did voice how I felt about something, you know, in a typical Black household, no emotion other than happiness is allowed. And if you are voicing your opinion or your feelings, it's talking back. So there is a punishment or a consequence for those things. And so what voice, what opinion, what feelings, what are you talking about? So yeah. So no, I did not have a voice in the home or in the family, for that matter, because a lot of the family, they look at you because you're young, you don't know nothing, and that's dumb. Because God can use the young and the old. Just because you don't despise your youth, isn't that up in there? But there, I'm pausing at this moment because there's a scripture that is on my mind, but I cannot think of it. But it talks about the youth or being young, and I just can't pinpoint it right now. I'm thinking of a situation where I like wrote it out, but I can't think of it right now. Yeah, so if you were young, you didn't know nothing, you was always talked down at and dismissed, and that is how it was. So yeah, I remember a conversation with a cousin of mine about me graduating high school, right? So I graduated from Benson High School in Portland, Oregon. Techman. But I did not go the typical route. So they had different, I forgot what they're called right now, but you could choose from almost like majors, right? So it was health occupations and electronics, I think. It was 2 majors. You can choose whichever one you wanted to go through. So I went through health occupations, right? Because I, at the time, wanted to be a doctor. No. But I was like, yes, I want to be a doctor. Woo. So I went through that part of the program, whatever. But also, again, my home life was like, I was not there. To me, that is how I felt. I just was there to eat, sleep, and sleep, and then I was away from the house most of the rest of the time, and nobody knew nothing about where I was and how I was, because again, my brother was gone. So even though later on I found out that he was actually keeping tabs on me, and I did not know that. But of course, his presence wasn't there, right? So, it got to maybe, I don't know, junior year. First off, me and my best friend used to skip school like crazy. Okay? And be at Jeff. We would be at Jeff. I should have been a student there. But yes, we skipped school a lot. So, but then it died down. She transferred out She transferred out. I still wasn't going to school. I was in a relationship. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. And then I was introduced to Salvation and Deliverance, where I met Alonzo. My boyfriend at the time was like, she don't go to school. I think this is junior year. She don't be going to school. He told him that. And so he pulled me aside. We had a conversation, whatever. So I was back to, I mean, I would go to school, but I would just leave. You know what I'm saying? I got back, not got back in, but I started going more consistently. But I found out that I did not have to graduate with the credits of health occupations because it was a major. I could drop that and my senior year would be a breeze. Like I had like maybe 1-2 classes or something like that that I had to finish senior year outside of the health occ. I was like, drop that. I don't want to be here anyway. Drop them classes. I don't want that. I was like, I'll still get my diploma. Like, I'm going to still graduate. If I drop this, it was like, technically, yes, drop it. I don't want to be, drop it. So they did. They took that off. And so I was, when I say barely at school then, barely at school. But also, I started taking classes at PCC, which is a community college. I started taking college courses over there because I was done with high school. I didn't want to be there anymore. And so, yeah. How did I not have a lot of absences in tardies? I forged that doggone signature, baby. Wrote my notes. Bow, bow, bow. And also, they didn't have an updated number for the house. So who are they calling? I don't know. But yeah, so I dropped that. I still graduated because there's a point to this. Sorry. I still graduated. Still graduated a high school diploma. It just didn't say like Benson on it. I think it said like Portland Public Schools or something like that. I don't care. It's a high school diploma. Give me that. So there was a situation because because I dropped my major, they didn't have the diploma there at the graduation. I had to go pick up my diploma from the school like later on. And so, but I still walked with my class. They still gave me the whole envelope, little thing, all that. I still walked. They still called my name, process, ceremony, the things. Did all that. There was an altercation between me and my brother. Because for some reason, somebody told him I didn't graduate, even though we literally was sitting at the ceremony. So I graduated. Somebody told him that I didn't graduate or whatever. He then, later on, after this altercation, later on, at some point, he tells my cousin, my older cousin, that I didn't graduate high school. So I was staying at my cousin. Fast forward, I was staying at my cousin's for a little bit. Just trying to figure my life out, honestly and truly. It was like mid-20s. I was just trying to figure out my life. And my cousin was like, you didn't even graduate high school. What? Who didn't graduate high school? You didn't even graduate high school. How you gonna tell me that I didn't graduate? I was like, yes, I did. No, you didn't. You're about to argue with me about me graduating high school and walking the stage you wasn't even at? Huh? Well, your brother told me you didn't graduate. I don't care what my brother told you. I am telling you right now that I graduated. Like, why are we even having this conversation about information that I know is true? But that's how it was. Like, adults did not, and I felt like sometimes it was me specifically that people wasn't trying to hear or listen to. Because who else are you arguing like this with? Like, who else? Do you do this with my brother? Do you do this with other people? Like, what do you do this with my other cousins? Like, why are you trying to argue me down about something I know I did? But that's like how it was. Like, your voice didn't matter. They knew more, all of that. And so I was like, my family don't listen. My home life wasn't listening. This dude over here is the one that's listening. And then that, turned or whatever too. And so I was like, my voice don't matter and nothing. And nothing and nothing. I shut up and I was silenced. And that's how that was. All right, ever. And within recent years, maybe like 2021, I have been doing my best to be more authentic to me and use my voice and to stand on my voice regardless of who agrees, who doesn't agree. And also, like, conflict is a thing for me too, because conflict growing up didn't end well. Conflict was always negative, right? Always negative with that bad end result is how conflict was shaped for me. So being able to stand on what I believe to be true for me, stand on my voice, my authenticity, regardless of who agrees, who doesn't agree, who like it, who don't like it. That has been like the mission since like 2021. And it seems like so late in life. I'm already in my 30s at this time. But better late than never, right? Better late than never. And that's what I also tell my clients, because some of them say things like, oh my gosh, I'm learning all this stuff now, like now, and I'm in my 30s, or now I'm in my late 20s. Like, this is something that I should have known. And I'm like, yeah, it's something that you should have known long ago. I said, but if there is no one there to pour into you or to teach you those things, how are you supposed to know? And it's the same for me. How am I supposed to know things I was never taught? And then, like my supervisor said, because they couldn't handle the things, or because they didn't want to change the things that you saw, because it affected them in a way, that's a them problem, not a you problem. And that is something else that I'm going to reiterate to myself and continue to tell myself. It is a them problem and not a me problem. It was a mom problem and a family problem. It was a cousin problem. It was an aunt problem. It wasn't a Shayla problem. It wasn't my issue. I knew what was to be true. I knew what was true for me. But you can't get over yourself, or you can't handle your emotions, or you can't handle the emotions that are rising up. So you're reacting in a way. Or you want this spotlight for you because it feeds whatever is inside you that maybe you didn't get for whatever reason. Those are all them problems and not a me problem. Whew. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna cry about this later. I actually have therapy tomorrow. I didn't want to bring this up. I actually want to talk about my best friend in therapy for the first time ever in 4 years. But if this comes up, I'll talk about this too. But I'm sure I will cry about this at some point. Because addressing your emotions is important. Not pushing them to the side, regardless of if it's a parent or a brother or a cousin. Recognizing what feelings I may be feeling is important first. And then moving on to grace, if that's what that is, or forgiveness or whatever. Yeah, but that is the end. I didn't think this was going to last this long, actually. I am about to be running late. But I thank you if you stayed this long and listened or watched this therapeutic episode for me. I hope you have a great rest of your week. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to My Heart Speaks LLC on Instagram or Facebook. Send me a DM, comment underneath this video, and share your own experience if you may, or you can share it in a message too. Please like and share my podcast in this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your week.